Welcome to Dr. Fred Bell's Health, Science, and Energy Show. July 14th, 2007. And yesterday, of course, was my favorite day. July 13th, Friday. Anytime there's a 13th Friday, that's always good luck. I'm sure everybody loves those days. Friday the 13th is the day to have some fun. Also, I want to welcome my listeners down at Tan Talk 1340 AM, Voice of Tampa Bay station. I hope you guys are enjoying our shows. We're going to have a good show tonight. We've had a good show next weekend. I decided to run this thing myself a little bit. I'm sure most of you watched my dear friend George Norrie last night on Larry King. Did a splendid job, along with Stanton Friedman, my old war buddy. I do a lot of UFO panels with him. I'll be back in New York City in October 2007, and the Big Apple this year, doing a lecture and probably be on a UFO panel with Stanton Friedman. So anyway, tonight we're going to be using the BBS live chat to do your questions. But before I get into any kind of questions, I'm going to talk about a few things. The first thing is a device that we finally have in production 20 years after it was planned. Isn't that how it always works? And that's called the Chyrsilladome. And people will say, what is a Chyrsilladome? I don't know what that is. Well, the Chyrsilladome is something beyond the power dome. And people say, well, what's a power dome? I don't know what that is. Well, that's something beyond a fire dome or a ray dome. And if you don't know what that is, what's a Pyradyne? Well, that's the product that we put on the American housewife even before Pyradyne existed to get rid of the problems of Valium. We calmed people down years and years ago. That was the Pyradyne. That was our first entry into anything in this New Age marketplace. Today we've come all the way to projector systems, and now we are getting back into levitation, which I stayed away from years, but after seeing Chris Angel on Larry King the other night and seeing what he's doing now, I figured why not some of our folks start levitating again. So I've set up some drawings to use with our projector systems and I can give you some advice. Those of you who want to email me on how to levitate. And you've got to be careful with this one because people get hurt. They break the trance, and they get too high, and they fall, and things get broken. So my better judgment said, maybe I shouldn't do this again. We did it once before, and we had a lady named Rama Devi over in Hawaii fall from 30 feet. The Team of America people, when they did it, they kept it under control, which was good. But anyway, we will get into levitation here fairly soon. So now back to the Chyrsilladome. What is the Chyrsilladome? Well, the Chyrsilladome is a device that would be the next step beyond the power dome. And so first of all, we better talk about pyramid energy a little bit. It's very important to understand pyramid energy. Pyramid energy is a form of energy that comes through a particularly shaped geometric form dedicated to that particular shape of energy. In this case, we're talking about in the body the red blood cell. There are 2 alpha chains and 2 beta chains in a red blood cell. The red blood cell is definitely shaped in such a way that it allows the blood not only to transfer oxygen into the body, but also to transport consciousness via the hydrogen atom through the body. What happens with most people is that when they start the system up, in other words, you get up in the morning and your blood is flowing and you start exercising or walking around or whatever you have to do to kind of wake up a little bit, several things happen. Usually, you get a lot of toxins. You start breathing air, of course, like you breathed it all night, but in the morning, our body has been detoxing all night long and it still continues to detox for a while. And usually what happens in the breathing process, the first thing that happens that's unfortunate for the body is that when you're breathing air in, it brings in carbon monoxide and poison and fossil fuel poison. Lots of stuff like that, which are not very nice. What this does then is it distorts the shape of the iron molecule in the red blood cell, in hemoglobin. In other words, it warps those 4 little octahedral pyramids that are transporting the life force into your body. It warps them in such a way that you have an inefficient body of carbon monoxide removal and oxygen rejuvenation to the cells and hydrogen disposition to the cells, which is your consciousness. It affects you and slows you down. So, years ago, I started to approach this problem in 2 different ways. One was with negative ionization, which I used, and the second, which I built ionizers, of course. You see them over at Sharper Image now, were the ones that got them interested in the first place. Richard Thalheimer was always on the phone with me back in the 80s trying to learn about this. I don't know if he believed in it or he didn't believe in it, but he tried to, and now he seems to be doing quite well with it. And so as a result, ionization was one approach, and of course wearing a pyramid on the head was a second approach. And I didn't come up with the idea to put a pyramid on anybody's head. To me, it's a dunce cap. Okay? That's what I thought about it. But now, I still feel that way, but I still wear one. And am I wearing one right now? No, because I didn't have time to grab one. I was holding one downstairs and left it there. But anyway, a doctor by the name of Gary Couture was the first guy to put pyramids on a person's head. And we made a little device, and he wanted a pyramid, by the way, that didn't have to be aligned to the north, magnetic north. So anyway, and I'll be answering quick chat questions. They're already coming in. I'm going to be answering those in a few minutes. Just pop them up there, and I'll get to them. So we ended up using a gold-plated pyramid. I figured a gold molecule, 18 carats and above, has the ability to become a pyramid in itself. So I found that by gold plating a pyramid, we found that you could wear this thing and it would be always aligned to the north because of the constitution of it. How did we test it? Well, we had a science kit at the time where we used to grow brine shrimp in 2 containers, one with a pyramid over it and one with no pyramid over it. The ones with a pyramid over it would live about a year or more. They get 5 or 6 times bigger than the ones that didn't have a pyramid over, which would die in 4 to 5, 6 weeks. The pyramid that we used for that was a little wooden one, and we provided a compass. As a matter of fact, I still have a few of those science kits around. So what we found out was, in a very simple demonstration, was that when we took the gold-plated pyramid and put it over the brine shrimp, they lived even longer than the wooden pyramid aligned to the north allowed them to live. And on top of that, it didn't matter which direction the pyramid was pointed. One of the things that I found out later on, and this is after I did a study on a radio station called WLW in Cincinnati, Ohio. It went on the air in 1929 with 500,000 watts of power, half a megawatt. None of them today are allowed over 50,000 watts. They destroyed all the plants and vegetation within the 20-mile radius, and everybody got sick at the station. So the FCC came in and says nothing over 50,000 watts, which is 10% of 500,000 watts if you do your math. So anyway, we developed the gold Pyradome, and we wore it, and Gary, of course, would put it on Valium addicts. And this is back in the early mid-'70s when Pyradyne first hadn't even started yet, actually, because the year before Pyradyne started, it was in 74. Pyradyne started in 75. We were just making up some pyramids. So anyway, people on Valium, mostly housewives at the time, it was a big drug. In the 80s, of course, the designer drug was smoking cocaine, freebasing, but this was the first big addiction that we dealt with. And we found that these people went into alpha, and they didn't have to take their medication anymore, and they felt better, and they had a better attitude. So that became the beginning of how this started. So then Gary Couture came to me one day, and he said, you know, over there in Japan, they're using copper to get rid of arthritis. It makes the blood a higher frequency, and remember, the blood is manufactured in the marrow of the bone, and it's a higher frequency, and therefore, copper is working. Can we put copper on a pyramid? And I said, I don't see why not. So I went ahead and made some copper pyramids. I actually say copper-plated pyramids. What I did was I took a gold-plated one, and I realized that even a gold-plated one has what's called the orgone layering in it.